but difficult to exaggerate the role played in Pakistan by the army. So when a court intervened over a proposed extension to the tenure of the present chief, General Bajwa, it caused a problem. Now, who is going to lead the Pakistani army? I've been talking to Rani Singh.
It's a very important decision, Rod. Who is the army chief in Pakistan? The current person, or the person who's in between jobs, shall we say, is General Qamar Javed Bajwa. He's had 3 years in post, and the question that the Pakistani government is getting in a bit of a stew about is, does he get 3 more years? Now, it's important in Pakistan because in that country, for half of its history, there has been military rule. Notorious generals were General Zia-ul-Haq and General Pervez Musharraf. And Pakistan's different to Western countries, Western democracies, in that the army chief in Western countries doesn't usually get involved in politics. But in Pakistan, it's different. The army actually sets defense policy, and with the volatility in the region recently, there's been tension with India over Kashmir. This particular general, General Bajwa, has been quite hawkish and a vocal critic of India's actions. Now, because of the tensions and the volatility in the region, Pakistan's government decided in August that he should stay on for another 3 years. And he was due to finish his term on the 28th of November and start his new term at midnight that day. Meanwhile, somebody filed a petition to the Supreme Court questioning the legality of an extension of 3 years. So the Supreme Court, a couple of days before the deadline was due for expiry of and renewal of the army chief's tenure, said, hang on, Pakistan government, we want to know the legal reasons by which you are extending this term for the army chief, because there's nothing in the Constitution that's specified about the army chief's term. So sort yourselves out. You've got 6 months to do this. Now, an author who writes a lot about the Pakistan military is Shuja Nawaz. He's a distinguished fellow at the South Asia Center in Washington, D.C.
If a constitutional amendment is required, then a 2/3 majority would be needed, and the government would have to cobble together a massive coalition of opposition parties in order to achieve its goal. This has created jitters and changed the power balance within the alliance of the civil and the military in Pakistan that was dominated by the military, and now the power seems to be shifting for the next 6 months towards the courts as well as parliament.
So not only are things quite unstable within Pakistan itself as far as the army chief is concerned, the economy is not in good shape. And internationally, relations with the US are unstable. To the west of Pakistan, there's Afghanistan, which has had elections recently, so that nobody knows what's going to happen there. And to the east, you've got India, with whom there are tensions. And over in the far corner, you've got the president of China saying that General Bajwa is a long-time friend of China. So internationally, it matters. And so what role General Bajwa plays in the near future in Pakistan is going to be something that we're all watching very carefully.
Is this anything to do with the Prime Minister? Is it anything to do with Imran Khan?
Well, it's Imran Khan's government, and over the past 3 years, he has seemed to have had a more, shall we say, a less aggressive and more of a sort of, how should we say, amicable relationship with the military than his predecessor, Nawaz Sharif, had. So there are all sorts of rumours about who is controlling who, but that's not for me to say. And what happens over the next few months is going to be very interesting, and for Pakistan watchers, but also very, very important for Imran Khan.
Now, it's a few months since we started talking about the religious corridor that was opened between India and Pakistan to allow one special group of pilgrims through. And there's something rather interesting about this, isn't there?
There is, and it's a follow-on story. It was the Sikh temple over in Pakistan that was renovated and opened for the birth anniversary of the founder of the Sikh faith, when all these thousands of Indian Sikh pilgrims came across. And now in the Pakistani province of Sindh, there's a little village called Janoji, where reportedly there are no Sikhs living at all. But this Sikh temple here in Janoji has been reopened and renovated with a grant from the local Pakistani politician for the birth anniversary of the founder of the Sikh faith. And the people who've been doing this are the local Muslim and Hindu community, who have a reverence and a respect for this particular Sikh guru, the founder. And the Hindus have been decorating and renovating it. And when you go into a Sikh temple, you always get a free vegetarian meal with a dessert that tastes a little bit like semolina. So the Muslim community prepared that meal and served it to the locals. Now, a veteran journalist who is from this area is Murtaza Solangi, and I've been talking to him about this story.
There are many examples like this village Janoji around South Asia. The heart and soul of this story is the lesson that despite the carnage of partition of India in 1947, the multiculturalism and the humanity is still alive.
You know, he mentions 1947, Murtaza Solangi, and since 1947 partition, there are more than 400 Hindu temples that have fallen into disrepair or been adopted and used for other purposes, not places of worship. Some have become toy stores, some have become restaurants, government offices and schools. But just recently, the Pakistani government decided that these Hindu temples should be restored and renovated and become places of worship and heritage sites. So it shows that Pakistan, in this aspect, is trying to preserve aspects of its multiculturalism, which has always been there to a greater or lesser degree.
Rani Singh.